this year's annual report. It's called Changing Landscapes for a couple of reasons, which I think will become apparent when we get it up there. Really what I'd like to talk through is a few facts and figures of the last year and some pictures, obviously, from the report. And I'd like to sum up some of the themes that I think relate to the year 2014-15. This report really goes from the street to the stars. It starts with a section which is called Homes and Streets, which is really about trying to get the basics right. Without the customers of YHN, without the homes, there is no reason for YHN at all. We don't exist except to serve our customers. So our emphasis last year is to try and make sure that we provide the services that our tenants and our customers want, and that they're the right services, and that if they're not, that we listen to you when you tell us why. The best basic measure of satisfaction was gathered at the General Survey of Tenants, which has risen to a high of 87.5%. I think this is a tribute to and down to the hard work of staff working out on estates and behind the scenes day in and day out. We did well in collecting rents. We exceeded our targets for the year by collecting 111.8 million, which is 99.6% collection. There are some voids. We are working hard to try and get rid of voids. We didn't quite achieve our full target. We've got voids of 1.45%, which means that we were down in income of about 1.6 million. So we're now working through and thinking about plans to reduce the times that it takes to re-let empty homes. That's an important issue for us, and it's also an important issue for families and for people to make sure they've got accommodation that suits them. And obviously, when we gather money in, it enables us to support our customers. One of the things a lot of work has gone into this year is advice. The advice team have helped customers access over £3.5 million in benefits and grants. 1.63 million of this was helping people to stay on top of their rent, a very tricky issue in difficult times. 900 food parcels were distributed in collaboration with Fair Shares, and the Community Care Alarm Service has had 4,800 customers, 119,000 calls. 3,100 emergency calls, including 2,300 falls. A very important service to customers and to those who have need of the service. Our Young People's Service has supported 46 families in crisis via the Family Intervention Project and has worked with 352 young people. This theme of trying to help people and help themselves also cuts across the training and employment opportunities which we offer, and we've increased our apprenticeships to 30. Your Homes, Your Jobs takes 30 people to try and help them. We're also trying to help people to launch their own businesses, and again 30 tenants were helped to launch and set up their own businesses. We've been looking in neighbourhoods. Our work continues to support neighbourhoods as well as individual customers. We have repair vans, which you'll know and you'll see go out and about, and this year we relaunched our estate-based housing management services. In housing options, we've let 2,542 properties, and we have dealt with, under HASBET, 503 cases of antisocial behaviour, many of which were resolved positively with just 2 evictions. These are particularly difficult issues for staff to deal with and for neighbourhoods to cope with. There are some real difficulties for people in actually managing living alongside people whose behaviour is antisocial. We have going for gold inspections at each of the estates which we manage, and we've been consulting customers to try and help them, to help us to shape the services they receive. So looking at our assets, we have been managing, and we are managing substantial assets on behalf of the City Council. But what we want is that all of the homes and neighbourhoods we manage meet 21st century standards, something that tenants have all told us is important to them. So we're creating a new asset management strategy which outlines our medium and long-term approach to maintaining and improving Newcastle City Council's housing revenue account assets. We have revitalised some sheltered homes, Morehouse in Fenham and Hadrian House in Throckley. What we're looking at here are modern, spacious, energy-efficient homes with a range of support options that better meet the needs of customers aged over 55.
Inside the newly remodelled Morehouse sheltered housing facility, the first of 3 buildings to be overhauled as part of a multi-million-pound regeneration project by Your Homes Newcastle. It aims to raise living standards for tenants.
Well, when I first seen it, I got the shock of my life because I just thought I must have one of these flats because they're brilliant. If I hadn't have got this, I would have been very disappointed because the ones that haven't been converted yet don't come anywhere near this, nowhere near, you know. My family's been, my friends have visited, and they were wowed, you know.
Well, prior to the remodelling, the sheltered accommodation looked institutionalised. The furniture was old, jaded, the apartments were bleak, small, and we've now created spaces that are fit for the 21st century. The blocks being filled, we know that people want this style of accommodation, so we know any future ones that we do, we will have demand for them.
Well, it was to take an institutional block of flats, which were mostly bed sits, well, all bed sits, and turn them into something more special, something that people could be proud of. And basically, it's just meant to sort of improve people's standard of living throughout the whole block, really.
The communal areas are brightened up a lot. The kitchen area is a lot bigger. We did a lot of structural work to facilitate having a larger kitchen, and also the front entrance area was quite dark as you came in. Now it's all very bright, all glazed. Yeah, it's been a massive difference. I think it's very important. I think it's moving with the times. I think people don't want to kind of see out the days in the old bed sits, which were quite dark and gloomy. I think these are a nice place to live. I think people will want to move into places like Morehouse and Hadrian House and Irish Stedman House in the future.
There is major investment underway at present at Blakelaw to the estate itself, North Kenton to some outdated mid-rise blocks and much more. More blocks have been reclad. The silver award has been achieved at Shift, the Sustainable Homes Index for tomorrow. At a different level, but nevertheless very important, we have put in 1,717 double-glazed windows, 651 combi boilers, and insulation to 110 walls, 89 lofts, and a lot more besides. You've Got the Power is something which has engaged a number of tenants. We've had 4,000 votes cast for things that people think money should be spent on, and 300 suggestions put forward. Money is obviously at the heart of a lot of what's happening, and representing and protecting the city, responding to financial challenges, and developing our commercial acumen is something which board members know we've been trying to work very hard on during this last year. We've had, I think, a very interesting year and a half. We've had some very positive conversations and made considerable progress in working together with colleagues in the City Council on a new management agreement. We're obviously working with partners in the city, and we're still learning about what it means sometimes to be on the other side of the table, and we have had some considerable success, not just in working with the City Council, but I'm sure Jim from Biker Trust appreciates that their strong performance on rent collection, repairs and re-let is also, which was paid tribute to I think at your recent AGM, is also because staff at YHN have worked very hard in your support with Lisa's Homes. Similarly, the story in terms of good work with Lisa's on arrears, £118 arrears per property, and the target was not to be more than 170, so achieving £118 per property was an exceptional result. We are constantly looking at fresh look for value for money. Our priorities are on achieving efficiencies and enabling sustainable investment by our partners and ourselves. We have made budget savings of £1.2 million in the year. We've introduced workforce rescheduling and mobile working practices at Newcastle Furniture Services and in the concierge service, promising results so far. And remember, YHN has been making every year efficiency savings of varying amounts, but I think certainly around about 2%. So substantial savings constantly achieved, and that means that the staff are looking all the time at how they can be more efficient and effective. We've done some very big pieces of work with Newcastle Furniture Service. 17,800 collections and deliveries have taken place of items of furniture of varying sizes. Go digital is incredibly important, and some of us met and heard some of the success stories of the Digital Champions project to improve opportunities for customers to develop their IT and digital skills. This is a key way in which our customers and we at YHN can support the City Council as well in all the digital inclusion activities, which are at the heart of the way in which people nowadays have to apply for work, apply for and deal with benefits arrangements. Everything is now digital, and obviously our customers must be kept up to speed with this. Palatine Beds has been one of the success stories of YHN in the recent years. We've got more partnerships at the Wester Hope site. They won the Most Innovative Social Enterprise Partnership at the National Federation of Almos Award in 2014, but in this year's 2015 National Federation of Almos, they won the Best Stand for a small organisation. So moving on, where are we at? What's happening in our world? Obviously, we are on the verge of becoming more independent and having a different relationship with the City Council, which I think we will value and which will, I think, work profitably and well for the City Council and for us. But our customers are dealing with universal credit, which we are trying to prepare for and increasingly start to understand the implications of it. There's a video, I think, coming up any moment. It will, I hope, be an insight into the issues that people will be facing.
I work as an advice and support worker for Your Homes Newcastle. I'm currently working as a Universal Credit Specialist as part of the Universal Credit team that we've set up in order to assist our tenants who have made claims for Universal Credit.
My initial experience with Universal Credit was I didn't know what to expect, so I was doing the transition from job seekers to Universal Credit, and basically I didn't know what to do, didn't know what it was, so I was made an appointment from the housing office.
It can be that we can provide that information over the phone and just give them some basic guidance on how the process will work. But we can also offer one-to-one, face-to-face appointments where we would go through what their budget currently looks like. They may be used to paying things on a weekly or fortnightly basis, but adjusting it so that they're paying on a monthly basis. We might also identify if there are some debts they have which they aren't keeping up to date with on payments. So in those circumstances, we can look to contacting those companies who they may have got debts with and negotiating more affordable repayments.
When I went into the appointment with Molly, she'd said to me, basically she needs certain things off me, so anything that can be put together to do budgeting sheets, so any bank statements, anything that just showed my ingoings and outgoings and just a way to budget.
We recognise that the initial claim for Universal Credit can take some weeks to process, and often our tenants are waiting a number of weeks before they receive their first payment. We've been able to offer guidance in this area in order to ensure they're able to budget prior to their payment. If appropriate, they can take an advance, which is repayable, so we do need to advise them of the implications of that. In
terms of the first month, as far as the payment went, I had to go for a benefit advance, which they gave me £150 up front, and then also that was to go towards some bills, and then I also asked for a food parcel. I mentioned to Molly one day that I was running low on food. All I did was give my information to Molly and she passed it on to the food bank, and I got my food in the next hour. And it was so much easier than doing it by yourself and suffering in silence, pretty much. It was just easier to go speak to someone about it and get it done.
We've also invited in a range of different customers to discuss Universal Credit. We've asked them for their feedback on what they think that Your Homes Newcastle needs to provide to tenants in order to assist them with their claim process. If anyone is worrying about the Universal Credit, what's really important is to just keep us updated, because we'll be able to direct you on how the process works, what support might be available, and make sure you're prepared for the change.
So you'll see that proactive support is high on the agenda for how we assist our tenants in coming years. Obviously, it's about personal budgeting, and some of the people at our event in February were talking about young people, were talking about how they can help other young people with budgeting arrangements. But this means also working with banks and enhanced IT systems and training to try and help people and us to stay on top of arrears so that they don't become too big. We are looking next year to be doing much more in the way of generating our own income. We're looking for a 5.5% growth at the furniture service, which is a little bit more than last year. We had 5.5% last year. We want more. We've got some contract wins, hopefully some leads, which took place from the housing conferences that we were attending. So we are looking to be more innovative, more creative, whilst still staying in areas of work of which we have knowledge. So summing up, I mean, it's a cliche. All annual reports say this has been a year of change. It's a constant in everybody's annual report. But for us, I think it's been more accurate to say that perhaps it's a year when things became clearer for us. The housing stock is going to change. Decent homes raised the standard. Now the investments we're managing for our clients will take the social housing stock in the city to what chefs would, I suppose, describe as the next level. We're going to be looking at the next level in terms of our housing stock, and also relieve some of the historic imbalances in the stock. But one of the things we're going to have to concentrate on very hard and work with the City Council on too is enabling good understanding amongst ourselves about our customers, the profile of our customers and their needs. Customers themselves will be required to change. We know for some this will be uncomfortable and unfamiliar, and one of our duties is to try and help and support them as they make these changes. Another thing which didn't come into effect but within the year, but of course is going to change for us, we are going to change our working arrangements, and styles will change with the reorganisation of the budgets. The HRA responsibility has always rested with the council, but its management has taken place substantially in YHN. This will now be happening in the council. And the creation of our trading and charitable arms, but the last decade has shown us, time and time again, is not to fear change. We can assume that new opportunities will be presented as well, and we can search out new opportunities. But making the most of those opportunities will require us to work effectively with others, reflecting the council's priorities and its aspirations for the citizens of the city, and to be coordinated and coherent. I continue to be reassured and comforted by the commitment of our staff, delighted by the contribution made by customers to YHN, and grateful for the support of my board and the executive team at YHN, and I hope you find the report interesting and an appropriate summary of the work that we have undertaken over the last year.